The FDA commissioner says the models show the United States is close to the peak of the coronavirus outbreak, with federal social distancing guidelines due to expire at the end of April. But exactly when the economy will be back up again is still too early to tell. VOA's Elizabeth Lee has more.
When life will be back to normal is still uncertain in the U.S.
If you look at what we're doing, we're looking at a date. We hope we're going to be able to fulfill a certain date, but we're not doing anything until we know that this country is going to be healthy.
Even when the economy opens up again, White House officials expect to see new cases of coronavirus. The response will include a diagnostic test and a new antibody test to see if anybody who has already been exposed may have immunity. U.S. President Donald Trump says there is no need for mass testing across the country, but something more strategic as to who gets tested and focusing on hotspots. The Food and Drug Administration Commissioner Stephen Hunt says several factors should be considered,
including the underlying characteristics of the person, whether they're more susceptible to a more serious outcome from COVID-19, where they live, what the prevalence of the disease is in the environment, and whether they've had a diagnostic test that's positive previously or not.
One factor is statistics showing the coronavirus is disproportionately affecting Black and Latino communities, which led the U.S. Surgeon General to deliver this message.
We need you to understand, especially in communities of color, we need you to step up and help stop the spread so that we can protect those who are most vulnerable.
An emerging hotspot is Baltimore, Maryland, near Washington, D.C., which is predominantly African American. An almost completed study found African Americans make up more than half of the coronavirus deaths in Maryland, but they are only 31% of the state's population.
Well, this disparity among African Americans is very disturbing. The vast majority of our resources are focused on that Baltimore-Washington corridor and these communities that you're talking about.
In the meantime, White House officials are struggling with a date for things to be back to normal again.
I'm going to have to make a decision, and I only hope to God that it's the right decision. But I would say without question, it's the biggest decision I've ever had to make.
As Mr. Trump weighs health data and safety with the toll the pandemic is taking on the economy.